Today on the CTV News at 5, a Calgary man is sentenced to jail time in the brutal beating of a Lethbridge police officer. Plus, too close to call.
I don't think she knows.
Last-minute pitches and long lines as Americans choose a president. And paying it forward.
They are left with needs, and so the community wants to be there to help fill those needs.
How McGrath residents are helping the wife and 4 children of a man killed in an accident at work.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. It's been 4 years in the making, but the U.S. election day is finally here. After months of campaigning and billions of dollars spent on these elections, Americans will finally get to decide their new president. Both parties have begun making last-minute efforts to get people out to vote, and Mark Greenblatt reports, according to recent polls, many voters are still undecided.
Mitt Romney and his wife cast their ballots in Massachusetts this morning, but in a sign of how tight the race remains, Romney then took off for 2 last-minute campaign stops, including one final push for votes in Cleveland.
This is a great day with great opportunity ahead, but I'm also looking forward to tomorrow.
President Obama spent the morning at his Chicago campaign headquarters. He voted last week. His goal early today, reach out to volunteers.
Karen, this is Barack Obama. I'm calling to say thank you. You're working so hard.
The Republican vice presidential candidate Paul Ryan cast his vote in Wisconsin, while the Democrat Joe Biden voted in Delaware. Later, the vice president made his own push for votes in Ohio, making an unannounced visit to the state both campaigns see as critical to win.
In recent polls, President Obama has pulled ahead in Ohio, but Democrats' hearts have been broken in Ohio election after election, so people are very wary of those polls.
Which is exactly why voters there braved sometimes long waits, understanding their single coveted vote might have unusual impact this election.
I was like, even if I have to stand in line for a couple hours, I think that we're going to decide this election, so we need to take the time to make it happen.
Now in the final hours of the race, President Obama is slightly ahead in many of the latest polls. But Mitt Romney is counting on that final push to give him the edge in what's been one of the closest races since pre-election polling began in the 1930s. Mark Greenblatt, ABC News, Washington.
It's not just the president and vice president Americans are voting for today. Ballots will also be cast for Congress, state representatives, and an array of referendum questions ranging from gay marriage and casino gambling to repealing the death penalty and legalizing marijuana. While the president spent today in Chicago thanking supporters and getting set for tonight's events, challenger Mitt Romney broke from tradition, hitting the campaign trail for some last-minute stops in key battle states. In Montana, a record turnout is expected, and that's where we find our Daryl Rummel tonight.
Montana voters are showing up in record numbers across the state. More than 3,600 absentee ballots were handed out. More than 79% of those have been returned. It's been a steady stream to the polls all day here in Shelby, where they've registered as many as 50 brand new voters. They say it's not just because of the tight race between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama, but because of the tight Senate race in the state between John Tester and Dennis Ryberg. In the sleepy town of Shelby, Montana, voters are expected to be lined up well into the evening to cast their ballots. While the candidates have promised progress and a new tomorrow, voters here simply hope for a better economic forecast in what they call a critical election.
Well, I think most everybody's ready for a change. I think I am.
And the way things are here in this state with the business climate, hope it goes a Republican way, but we'll have to see. It's going to be real close.
It's very volatile. It's very intense.
President Obama clinged to a slight lead as the polls opened on Tuesday. In Montana, elections officials say it's sure to be a long night. Bev Rogers has seen voters and candidates come and go over her 40-plus years as an elections officer, but the race between Obama and Romney is the closest she can recall.
Recently, years, yeah.
Elections officials say they're on track for one of the highest voter turnouts in this county's history. Before 7:30 this morning, 35 had already cast their ballots.
Well, besides the presidential election, that's a big part of it, but also it's because of the Ryberg and Tester race. And I think that a lot of people have a good opinion about that, and I think it's going to be a very close race. I expect we'll be in our office very late tonight doing ballots.
Under the Obama administration, officials say Montana suffered job losses where growth was promised under his national energy strategy. It meant slowdowns for coal power production. Montana is historically a swing state, but in recent years has voted Republican. It was that way in 2008 when this state elected John McCain by just 2%. Voters I spoke to all day say that no matter the outcome, something needs to be done about the economy and jobs in this state. And they'll start to find out after 8 o'clock tonight. Daryl Rummel, CTV News, Shelby, Montana.
Okay, thank you, Daryl. Election officials in Shelby say they've traditionally waited until the polls close to begin counting, but with an influx in voters this time around, they plan to start counting around 6. And back here at home, provincial politicians' pay is front and center again at the Alberta legislature. And once again, opposition believe that the PCs have given themselves a raise. Today, the retirement package was discussed. The number agreed on would equal an 8% pay increase.
Our MLAs have taken a significant decrease compared to what they were getting paid at election time, what Justice Major recommended they should be remunerated, and what they will be receiving now as a result of this decision.
The PC MLAs wear this, and none of the opposition members wanted to see an 8.5% pay increase. Certainly the Wild Rose was opposed to it, and I hope that Albertans call their MLA and tell them exactly what they think of this pay increase.
But what they did instead is turn it into a pay increase that everybody gets, and that's wrong, and that's not what the public wants. We're already extremely well paid as MLAs, and I don't think there's any appetite for anything that looks like a raise.
Now, this puts Alberta politicians second among provinces for pay. Let's switch gears to the weather. And Dory, tomorrow is going to be a day of changes.
Yes, it is. Calgary's going to see the change before we do. They're going to get their snow tomorrow evening into the overnight hours. We'll see ours by Thursday morning, but our temperature will have our daytime high early in the day, and then we will slide down the scale by the afternoon hours. I'll tell you all about it in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Dory. A man who confessed to brutally beating a Lethbridge police officer has been sentenced to nearly 3 years behind bars. In February of 2011, Constable Norman Smith was attacked while trying to arrest 25-year-old Aaron Head and another man. The beating left the officer with a fractured skull and bleeding on the brain. In June, police issued a warrant when Head didn't appear in court. The Fugitive Apprehension Unit arrested Head in Calgary at a traffic stop in September. Head has pleaded guilty to assaulting the officer. In court today, Justice Redmond sentenced him to 33 months in prison minus 4 months for time already served. Lethbridge Regional Police are trying to find the owners of over 100 pieces of stolen property. Officers recovered the items during the search of a home on Mount Crandell Crescent as part of a car prowling investigation that dates back to August. Numerous items, including electronics, watches, jewelry, tools, CDs, and more were recovered. Police have created a photo booklet that's available for the public to view at the police station's front counter. Owners will have to provide proof of ownership. An 18-year-old and 17-year-old male both face charges. Medicine Hat police are asking for your help locating a missing 49-year-old woman. Karen Leslie Diggle, who also uses the last name Emmis, was last seen September 28th in the area of the Medicine Hat Travel Lodge. She was wearing a camouflage top and skirt with a blue fleece jacket. Diggle is 5'7", 152 pounds. Her family reported her missing to police just last week. If you have any information, please contact Medicine Hat Police. Residents of McGrath are coming together to support the family of a married father of 4 who was killed last month in an industrial accident. A fundraiser is planned for Thursday evening at the McGrath High School. As Terry Vogt reports, this isn't the first time the community has faced tragedy, and they're now hoping to pay it forward by making this an annual event.
And for the silent auction.
Alex White only moved to McGrath a year ago, but it didn't take long to appreciate how the community responds to people in need.
When we moved here, there was just my wife and I and our kids. We moved in, and within 2 hours we had a U-Haul unloaded from the community with people that we didn't even know had come in to help.
Now Alex is among a group of local residents who are paying it forward by helping another family in need. David Van Bruggen was killed in an industrial accident October 17th, leaving behind his wife Tanya and 4 young children. The community is now organizing a carnival and silent auction to raise money to assist the family.
they are left with needs, and so the community wants to be there to help fill those needs.
McGrath has faced tragedy before. In fact, this marks 3 years in a row they've had a tragedy during the month of October. Last year, 4 teenagers died in a single vehicle crash. Local residents rallied to support the families. Now they're planning to make the Pay It Forward fundraiser an annual event.
The idea of Pay It Forward is we've all had people help us in one way or another, and so the Pay It Forward is a way that we can help others who are in need at that time.
Local residents say they're amazed at how the community has come together. They say the financial assistance is great, but the community is helping in other ways too. Cooking meals, cleaning the house, helping to take the kids to school. The fundraiser is scheduled for Thursday night. Organizers are still taking donations of silent auction items and cash, with all proceeds going to the Van Bruggen family. Terry Vogt, CTV News, McGrath.
Donations are still being accepted. You can make a donation or get more information on their Facebook site, Pay It Forward McGrath. Southern Albertans will soon gather for the latest in agriculture technology at the Farming Smarter Conference. Mike LeBlanc gives us a sneak peek in this week's Farm TV.
Each year in early December, Farming Smarter holds its annual conference and trade show in Southern Alberta.
This year our theme is our motto, Growing New Ideas, and we have a number of excellent speakers that will teach on various parts of farm business management. So this year's conference is in Medicine Hat, Alberta, at the Exhibition and Stampede Grounds, December 4th and 5th.
This year's agenda consists of over 20 presentations covering a wide number of topics of interest to innovative producers from across Western Canada.
Dr. Perry Miller from Montana State University, great experience in crop rotations and cropping systems. We have Mike Jubinville from Pro Farmer Canada to give us a market update. Dr. Richard Gray from the University of Saskatchewan is going to talk about research and innovation. And of course, we've got a number of Ag Canada scientists that will give us updates on current issues, a number of topics on precision agriculture, business management, and agronomy. We've got economists, and we've even got a very special keynote speaker, Vic Mirage, to speak on how we deal with innovation.
Farm TV is brought to you by DA Building Systems.
And turning to the markets now, where the world stock markets were mixed today, with traders not wanting to make any major moves as the Americans go to the polls.